Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Life with Latoya for another amazing discussion. Thank you to all of you that are joining in, that have took the time out to watch this discussion on today, and to you that are joining in for the very first time. Thank you and welcome. And I hope that you will subscribe. You will enjoy the discussion. And to you that have subscribed, I thank you, and the support is always appreciated. So, for the last past 7 weeks, we've been talking about the keys to life. Life means living in fulfillment every day. And I have shared the keys to life based off of my personal journey, things that I have experienced, and the tools that I've pulled out. And these are the keys that I've had to use um, in my life to live in fulfillment every day. So we have talked about knowing who you are and the importance of knowing who you are, your purpose and your vision, having a purpose and vision, knowing what your purpose and vision is, having the right mindset, being committed, identifying patterns, removing barriers that hinder your life from moving forward. And today we're talking about removing people that serve no purpose. This topic is important because everything we do in our life has to do with people around us, no matter where we are, no matter where we go, even starting with our own family members. I know that in order for us to live our best lives and to live in fulfillment every day, it's important the quality and the type of relationships and the people that are in our lives. It's important the purpose that they serve in our lives and knowing what their purpose is in our lives and what our purpose is to them. I am a very firm believer that no one just comes in our lives by accident. And so I believe that with that being said, there's always something you can give and always something that you can get out of every person that you encounter um, in your life. It's important living in your life to live in fulfillment every day as you're going through your process and your journey and your discovery and fulfilling your purpose, um, that you are surrounded around people that are inspirational and encouraging and that supports you, who you are, and where you're going, as well as it is important for you to be that to others. It definitely should be a positive um, exchange between you and the people that you encounter. And yes, there's no relationships that are perfect. You have your challenges, you have your difficulties. And like I always say, you're going to always have tests and trials. But as we grow and as we develop and as we mature and become more healthy within ourselves, the more healthy our interactions will be with those in our life. And also, when you come to a place that you're healthy and you start operating and identifying and knowing who you are and loving yourself, it also matters when people no longer are supposed to be in your life. And we hold on to people for so many different reasons. One being history. You know, I grew up with people that's been in my life for years. And as I was evolving and changing and growing, not saying that they weren't evolving or changing and growing, but sometimes you get to a place where you're going in two different directions, or you're no longer compatible to each other depending on what season you're in. Sometimes you have to go your separate ways. Sometimes that is permanently. Sometimes that's just for a season. And it really just depends on the dynamics of the relationship, whether it's healthy, whether it's growing, where you're going, what you're doing, what they're doing. Does that complement where you're going? Does it complement what they're doing and where they're going? Um, and sometimes it's just a season. Sometimes people are just in our life for a season, and we have to be able to recognize when that season is over. I know for myself, I struggled for a long time. I have a big heart, and not that I'm perfect, not that I have never hurt anyone or said anything or mean things out of pain or hurt. But as I have grown, I always had a hard time of letting people go, whether that was relationships with men, whether that was relationships with friends, just knowing when it's time to let go. And I think that's why knowing who you are plays such a it is that is why it's the first key, and that is why it's one of the most important keys, because as you develop in yourself and know, the more you know who you are, as I grew to know more of who I am and what I want. And it took a lot of pain, it took a lot of disappointment, a lot of rejection, but the more that I grew and I healed and I began to learn more about myself and what I didn't want, my tolerance level became more intolerable. Where I used to just would hold on and be in relationships or friendships for so long because they were actually serving a purpose. And really, it was the purpose to the negativity parts of myself, the voids of not knowing who I was or loving myself, or um, just, needing those people in my life, whether it was good or bad. It could be very toxic. And because I just had grew accustomed to the dysfunction, because I was already operating in a dysfunctional state, I stayed in those places longer than I should. And it cost me great pain, great heartache, and I'm sure for them as well. But as we're growing and as we're moving into becoming our best selves and knowing who we are and identifying our purpose, it matters. It is very vital that we remove, just like we had to identify last week, patterns, um, and remove barriers, people as well, because you want to be able to move effectively, and you don't want negativity in your life. So if you have people that are not um, and they don't their lifestyle doesn't complement your lifestyle, and it doesn't matter what it is, if they're not positive, if they're not influential, if they're not motivating, you might find yourself falling into old places or distractions, or hindering you and delaying you from getting to your goals, or becoming your best self. So it's important to identify the people and evaluate the relationships that we have in our life. And if they're not good for us, if they're not healthy for us, let them go. Just like everything else, let them go. And I promise you, the more you grow, the more you become better, you will attract people of substance. And even if those people find their way to want to attach, you will be able to recognize it right away and say, you know what? No, you know. I had to learn a very, very hard lessons when it comes to um, relationships. And I call them matters of my heart. And I don't care if it doesn't have to be relationship with a male. It could be um, any relationships. I've had great people in my life that I call my friends that I've had to let go for various reasons of just not being healthy, or we're no longer serving the purpose, the bigger purpose of where we're trying to go or where we're trying to get to. So letting go of people is important. Identifying, evaluating the people that are in your life. I'm not going to spend a lot of time there. Um, But I think it's important, and not just letting people go, but really making sure you're fulfilling the purpose in those relationships. Some people are just, some people feel like, okay, this person's in my life just by accident, or don't even realize that there's a greater purpose to them being in your life. So it's important to pay attention. Why did God put these people in my life? Why are they here? What is the purpose that they're serving? Or is it to challenge me? Is it to, um, is it for the longevity? Is this just a season? Whatever it is, get the purpose out of those relationships. Make sure that it is healthy. Make sure that it's effective. Make sure that it is, that it's and that it's an equal exchange. Like you're not just being depleted by a person or giving so much to a person and there's no give back to you. I do believe that is so important. My self-care is number one. My health, the health of my mind and my spirit and my life is important to me. And I'm at a place in my life where negativity is not acceptable at all. It's not. And I have to also identify when it's negative, like I said last week, the impact. My part, it's important that as we are evaluating and letting people go, that we make sure that we understand the purpose and we're taking away the lessons. I've had some difficult relationships and I've had to pluck them at the root. And I didn't realize that some of them was multiple people. This was just the dynamics of my interaction or how I was choosing to operate. And again, we talked about operating from new systems versus old systems, new, developing healthier patterns versus the negativity and the coping mechanisms to survive or to deal or cope with pain. So, what kind of relationships do you have in your life, and are they healthy? Do they add value to your purpose, to who you are, to where you're going, to your mind? How is the commitment part in your relationship? Are you committed to your relationships? Um, are your relationships committed to doing their part in your life? And if not, that is something that you definitely need to evaluate. And again, if it's not lining up to your purpose and where you're going, let it go. So I say all that to say, value the great relationships that you have in your life. Get the purpose out of them all. Embrace the great people God puts in your life. If they come your way and God has placed them there and they're for your good, embrace them. If they're not for your good, learn from them so that they don't have to come back your way anymore. And so relationships are important. We can't do anything without relationships. Everybody needs someone, but it matters the purpose of them being there. So, and if you have relationships that you need to mend or you need to fix so that it can be more purposeful, do that as well. But anything that hinders you from living in fulfillment every day, let it go. That is all I have for you today. Embrace your relationships and the ones that you need to let go. But make sure that when you let go of those negative relationships, that it is from a healthy place. It is a place that you've evaluated, you've done the work in, you have taken your part in it, you have forgiven so that you can be free. Not just let go. We have so many people that be like, I'm done, I'm cool, I'm not dealing with them anymore. Why? Get to your why. Because your why might not be them, it might be you. So you need to really evaluate that. And again, everything at this point in your life needs to be complementary to where you're going. So until next time, you guys be blessed.